welcome to the Intuitively Wild podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Levine. Living intuitively wild is about coming back home to ourselves. Here, we talk about how to live connected to ourselves, others, and nature, and make a commitment to radical authenticity, vulnerability, and acceptance. On this podcast, we delve into a wide range of topics that span the human experience. We peel back the layers and talk about the things that are often not talked about. This is a space for us all to walk and wander this path of life together. Let's dig into our roots and go deep. Hello and welcome back to this week's podcast, and welcome to our ritual podcast of the month. I am so excited for this month's ritual. Not only is it our first of the year, but it's also for Imbolc. And I am so passionate about living seasonally. It has honestly changed my life and supported my mental health in so many ways. I will and could, and I think maybe even have done a whole podcast about this. I've definitely written about it on Substack multiple times. But seasonal living reminds us that we are seasonal, cyclical beings. Our energies, our needs, our desires, they shift and change depending on the energy happening around us. And within us, we can go through internal seasons and cycles that aren't matching what is happening around us, but we are always impacted by the seasons and cycles happening around us, whether we notice it or accept it or not. And today's society and our culture specifically has taught us that we are supposed to show up the same every day and simply output, and to live in this eternal summer and to produce and perform consistently. And that is just not how we are structured as humans in general, but especially females with a cycle. Our hormonal cycle goes through the different seasons and the different phases of the moon, those energies, every week. Every day we shift and change. And the more I lean into and learn about seasonal living, the more passionate I am about it. The only way I now survive winter, truly, is by letting myself embrace winter and live winter and to winter. Wintering was a term coined by, I'm not quite sure who, but it's also a book that I've read that I love. And that book, I read it during my winter in England that changed my life. And that book helped me and helped change my life. And I now try to master the art of wintering, the art of summering, the art of seasonal living. Not just to exist in it, but to let the changes around and within me change me. To let myself be changed by what's happening around me. And one way that I live seasonally is by celebrating the seasonal celebrations on the Wheel of the Year. And the Wheel of the Year is an annual cycle of seasonal holidays. It encompasses each yearly change in season, both the quarter holidays, which are the 4 seasons, and then the cross-quarter holidays, which are the moments in between. And I could go on about this forever, but that is some of why I will continue to bring this way of being into my work, and why I structure and theme a lot of my work around the Wheel of the Year, and why you'll see me continue to do that, and why these ritual episodes will largely be around those seasonal celebrations embedded in the Wheel of the Year. And so with all of that being said, today we are ritualizing Imbolc. And Imbolc is celebrated between February 1st and 2nd, and it's the halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. So it's one of those cross-quarter holidays. And this means that we are moving through winter and inching our way towards spring. It is a time of hope, of decreased anxiety and scarcity, and increased peace and grounding. Because although not much grows in February, the pressure of winter is decreasing and the ground is starting to soften and getting ready for seeds to sprout. It definitely depends where you are in the world, how February looks for you. You be completely on the other side of the world and be going through the end of summer. Or you might be in a place where you don't have such intense winters and it's getting warmer already, spring's starting to sprout already, or you are living somewhere where winter is still in full force and February is a really difficult month to get through. Wherever you are at, this holiday is one to celebrate because it reminds us that we are inching our way towards warmth, that we are starting to see the world soften and come alive again, and that winter is for a reason, that the time and space we took in winter to hibernate and go inward was for a reason, for us to come out fresh and renewed and clarified and grounded in springtime. So let's get into our ritual with all of that being said. If you are new here, we always start our ritual with our intention and setting the energy. And then we go into our altar suggestions and setting up our space, because setting up for the ritual is part of the ritual. So setting our intention, setting the space, that's a key component of the ritual. And next we will move into our yoga therapy tools for you to do during this ritual. And then I'll share our herbal companions that you can incorporate into your ritual through a tea or a tincture or a body oil, or to place on your altar or to learn more about. And then we will move into our reflections through journal prompts, which will naturally lead us to our intentions. Our reflections kind of allow our intentions to unfold and be revealed for us. And our intentions will help us create our mantras and our words to tap into and connect to throughout this season. And then we will end our ritual with an intention, a hand on our heart, and some grounding. And we will go on our way. As always, this will be also on Substack. So if you prefer to see this written out, it will be there too. And I know that this is not something that we're doing in real time together, and I move through it quickly, but I hope that this inspires you. And if all you do is listen to this as your ritual, that is enough, because it's bringing that energy and that intentionality and that connection into your life already. This can be the ritual, but I do hope that you really take the time to connect with the energy of Imbolc, to celebrate it, to celebrate yourself getting through winter or whatever season it is that you are in, and begin to embrace this new chapter, a new season, a new energy we are heading into. Okay, our ritual. As always, we will initiate the beginning of our ritual by lighting our candles and stating an intention out loud, or taking a moment of silence to shift into the energy we want to embody. So whatever feels right for you, you can just take a moment to connect with yourself and tap into that energy. You can state an intention out loud or in your journal or just to yourself. An intention I offer you is, with this ritual, I welcome in the energy of Imbolc, of hope and creativity and renewal. I am open to whatever sparks of creativity or energy or insight comes through me during this ritual. Then you can move into setting up your altar or setting up your space. And so our altar suggestions, our colors for Imbolc are white, silver, sky blue, and green. So if you want to dress your altar accordingly, you can do so. You can put a tapestry over your altar or have a tapestry of one of those colors be your altar. You can choose crystals or other altar adornments in alignment with those colors, only if that feels good for you. Which brings us into our other altar suggestions. Ether, which is our spirit realm. This is to honor our spirit guides, God, the universe, however you want to phrase that, whatever feels right for you. This holiday is associated with the goddess Brigid. So if you want, you can do some research into her story and see how she resonates for you. I won't go into her too much because I really think delving into the goddesses is a journey that is so personal, and also I'm no expert on them. My experience so far has been learning about them through my priestess training, but it's been a very personal experience versus already feeling like I've established how I integrate that into any client work or community work. So if you're feeling called to learn more about Bridget, I highly recommend. What I will say though is that this time is associated with her for a reason, and you can just tap into her energy, because her energy is all about inspiration, healing, and creativity. She is the goddess of prophecy, poetry, and fire. So you can connect to her energy by getting creative, bringing more fire energy or that element into your life, and by tuning into your intuition. So when it comes to using that energy to dress your altar, see if there's any poetry you want to put on your altar, any art pieces you've done, any poetry that you love or art that you love, anything that feels creatively inspired to you that helps you tap into that creative energy within you, or that helps you tap into your intuition or brings up that fire element in you. Next is our water element. So since this is about transformation from winter into spring, and it's really about cleansing and purifying and creating, I highly recommend finding a way to get to a fresh water source near you and collect some water from nature to place on your altar. And this is representing how the water transformed and is changed by the seasons around it, how it is transforming from ice back to water and purifying us and allowing us to grow and allowing our intentions and our lives to grow. And it also is bringing that energy of nature, that energy of the seasons and the shift happening right now into our ritual and onto our altar. Then next is our air element, and our incense suggestions for this ritual are centered around clearing and cleansing: sandalwood, lavender, and sage. Next we have our fire element. And Imbolc is one of the 4 fire celebrations. So fire is really important here. Of course, we have our candle or multiple candles that we lit to initiate this ritual. That's always how we start our ritual, is stating our intention and lighting that fire, that candle. That can be completely enough for your fire element on your altar. If you want to add other candles, that's beautiful too. Also see if you can maybe get near a fireplace or a bonfire, or just to bring more fire energy into your ritual with the music you choose or the emotions you evoke. But fire is just an important element to keep in mind here. And then lastly, for our altar, we have our earth element. So I have 2 options. You can choose both, either. Of course, you can choose neither. But one is to go outside and connect with what is present in nature right now. What is growing, what is sprouting, what is present, what is there. Whether it's an early bud or a stick that catches your eye, it really doesn't matter. But just noticing what is there and taking it and putting it on your altar to connect to the present moment nature around you. And the other option is to find seeds that you are excited to plant this year in spring, or seeds of a plant that resonate with you or represent the energy you're calling in for spring, and to place those on your altar. So once you have your altar all set up, we are going to move into our yoga therapy tools. And we're going to start with a grounded meditation, moving into a pranayama practice, and that will lead us to a contemplation practice. And for our meditation practice, this holiday is all about connecting with our creativity, stoking that inner fire and connecting to the warmth and the sun. And so, if possible, we want to start by doing an outdoor meditation. And maybe finding a piece of grass or a tree or a bench that you feel called to, preferably in a patch of sun so you can feel the sun's presence on your skin. But if the sun is not out for you right now, obviously that is fine. And if you need to or want to stay inside, you can find a sunny patch on your couch or your floor, or just somewhere that feels warming and nurturing to you. And before you close your eyes, take time to notice your surroundings. Notice what in nature has changed since winter. What is beginning to shift, what is beginning to transform. And just pause and be with it for a second. And as you close your eyes and begin your meditation, continue this awareness. Notice what you hear, smell, feel, and welcome into your meditation and welcome in spring. And let that be what you sit with for at least 3 minutes. Just noticing the sounds of nature around you, the feeling of nature around you, what might feel different, what might feel like it's changing within you and around you, and just welcome it in. Our pranayama practice. So since this is a time for creativity, this also relates to fertility, rebirth, and vitality. Therefore, we want to connect to the chakra or the energy center where these themes live, which is our sacral center, which is a very important center in human design as well. And if you are a generator or a manifesting generator, you have this energy present for you all the time. You have this creative energy within you. And if you're a projector or a reflector or a manifester, it's something that is not as consistent and that you can tap into by being around that energy. If you want more details about how you can learn more about that or connect more to your sacral center energy, feel free to reach out and we can go into that. But for our pranayama, we simply want to feel the breath fill our bellies and let them expand fully. And then exhale and feel your belly, that sacral center, contract. And let these breaths be full and energized. You don't need to force them or to force your belly to contract or expand, but let the energy rise. Let the energy cultivate within you. Go as fast or as slow as feels good, but go deep and really feel the energy in you as you're breathing. And after you've done at least 5 rounds of that deep belly sacral center breath, you can come back to your normal breathing. And in your meditation, or if you'd prefer in your journal, I want you to contemplate the concept of brahmacharya, which in Sanskrit means devotion to life. The sacral chakra, the sacral energy center, is where life energy is stored. And when you're not aligning with your intuition, you are shutting down the energy that keeps life alive and fully vibrant. So I want you to ask yourself, am I allowing myself to live life fully? Am I allowing myself to follow my joy? Am I dimming my joy in any way? Am I devoted to my life and my truth? And you can choose one of these or all of them to sit with in your meditation or to journal on or to come back to as you're going throughout your day. But let these questions really infiltrate. Let them really come into your being and let yourself process them and contemplate them. And sit with that for as long as you would like. I now want to share our herbal companions. Like I said before, you can incorporate this into your ritual as a herbal concoction, whether that's a tea or an elixir, a body oil. You can place them on your altar. You can use them throughout this season. Some of these you can cook with, or you can decorate your home with them. You can get creative and see if there's one that you feel more called to than the others, or all three. But our first one is rosemary. Rosemary warms you from the inside out. So it's good when you are still moving into that warmer time and the temperatures are still kind of cold. and it aids in circulation and connects you to the energy of the sun. She improves memory, strengthens your immune system, provides protection, and supports strong relationships. She cleanses, clears, and purifies. And we have rosemary in our soft strength fire cider, which is still such a nourishing remedy for this time. As I've said many times before, fire cider is my number one immune boosting support medicine. And it's available on our online apothecary, but only for a limited time longer before we move from our winter edition of the seasonal shifts range to the spring edition. So if you want one of those last fire ciders for the season, I highly recommend heading over there. Our next recommendation is Angelica. And Angelica is good for new beginnings and calling in protection, power, and positivity for your intentions. It's such a good herb to use when you are transitioning from more challenging times into lighter, more energized times, such as winter to spring. And then lastly, mugwort, one of my all-time favorites. Mugwort helps you clarify and connect with your dreams and allows them to strengthen and gain power so you can embrace them with full devotion. And mugwort is found in our intention oil at the apothecary, and it's perfect for this time of year to moisten our dry skin from the winter and connect to our intentions. Now we will transition into our reflections. So for this portion of the ritual, I want you to grab your pen and paper, your journal, or if you prefer the notes app on your phone or voice notes, you can call a friend and talk about this over conversation. Whatever feels really intentional and useful for you, make this your own. But here are our reflection journal prompts. What came up for you in winter? What did winter reveal to you? What did it teach you? What fell away in winter, and how did it redirect you? What did you reconnect to? What resurfaced or was reignited? What new inspiration or intentions clarified that you are wanting to embody in spring? And I feel that these reflection prompts are really important because often we don't realize the nourishment that is available for us in winter because we're constantly trying to continue the energy of summer. But again, if we are present with winter, if we allow ourselves to winter, then all of this can be revealed for us. Then the fruits of winter can come to fruition. And so these reflection prompts will help us realize and acknowledge and celebrate what was happening within us during winter and to remind us of the importance of winter and how that is the step that is crucial that needs to come before spring. Okay, our intentions. So through these journal prompts, what is surfacing around what your intentions are for spring? How do you want to feel? Who do you want to be? What do you want to create? How do you want to show up in the world and for your life? So what I'm tuning into right now for myself and for Intuitively Wild as a whole is that this Imbolc season is for soft devotion. We don't need to pressure or push. We don't need to control or contort. We don't need to be rushing out of winter and now pushing ourselves to produce. Some of us may still be feeling guilt or shame around committing to our New Year's intentions or making big changes or making up for what we were disappointed by from last year and feeling that pressure. I hope that we all let all of that fall away in winter. I know I've had so much to sort through around all of that. And this is the time to take what was clarified and softly devote ourselves to it. And when I say softly, it just means within ourselves. It's like that grounded confidence that I'm always talking about. We don't need to prove anything. We don't need to force anything. We don't need to change anything about ourselves. We just need to listen to what our intuition is telling us we need to do in this moment to connect to our intentions, to connect to our heart's desires, and do that authentically and intentionally with ease and grace. Let our heart be heard and follow our energy towards it. Wherever and however and whatever our energy leads us to, let us follow. No more, no less. Trust your intuition, trust your pace, trust your process. Soft devotion means showing up and dedicating yourself to it, but only in the ways that are truly aligned in each moment. There is so much strength in your softness, and softness is that flexibility that allows you to stay devoted, to stay committed, to stay on the path towards what you truly want. Because if we're rigid, then we can't be flexible, we can't change, we can't adapt. If we're soft, we can ease into what actually needs to happen for us to move towards our goals. Which brings me to our mantras that can help us connect to these intentions and this energy throughout the season. So the first is, I trust my pace. I walk my path with soft devotion. I commit to my heart's desires. And you can choose one of these or make your own that feels really resonant and supportive for you as you commit to your intentions this Imbolc season and to the energy that you want to feel. And as always, how I like to do this is we take our intention or our mantra and we write it somewhere where we can see it every single day. So whether that's a vision board or an index card, a post-it note on your phone, somewhere where you can reconnect to your intention and this energy that you want to embody every day. So you can choose one mantra or one intention that you want to write on there. If you want to do more than one, that's totally fine, of course. And then underneath that, we put our word for the season or for this ritual. So some words that you could choose from are devotion, dedication, soft strength, open heart, creativity. And just ask yourself, what word reminds me of my intention? What word reminds me of that energy I want to embody? What word will help me stay committed? And it's a word that when you say it, when you repeat it to yourself, it just immediately reminds you of this ritual, of the clarity that you gained, and of the direction that you are moving towards. And then underneath that word, write at least 3 action steps that you know you can hold yourself accountable to, that you know you can integrate into your life this season. And commit to them. Maybe schedule them in right now or just remind yourself of them every day. How are you going to hold yourself accountable to those actionable action steps? Not something that feels too far off or feels inaccessible or that you're going to beat yourself up over, but something that you know confidently is, one, going to take you closer to your goals and make you proud of yourself, and 2, you know you're going to do. So once you've written out that card, if it's a physical piece of paper, you can place it on your altar. I always love to place mine on my altar. And then get ready to close your ritual. So sit down in front of your altar and look at this space you've created and feel the energy you've cultivated. Ground yourself in your intentions. Remind yourself of your action steps, of your commitments, and then place a hand on your heart and acknowledge yourself. close your eyes and thank yourself for all of your growth, for your presence, for your devotion to yourself. And take time to really connect within. And say to yourself, I promise to show up for my intentions with confidence and devotion. And maybe sit there in that for a moment or two. And when you are ready, you can snuff out your candle. And what I've learned recently in my priestess training is that you don't want to blow out your candle during a ritual, because that kind of blows the energy away. You want to snuff it out either with your hands or a candle snuffer or with water, just something that dissolves the flame but doesn't blow it away. So if that feels good for you, take that. And that is the completion of a ritual. Once the fire is out, that completes our ritual. And I want to remind you that the ritual is not just a one-time thing. It's not just something to perform and then leave. It is so that we can embody this energy into our life and to actually make changes in our life that align us with our authenticity and that allows us to move forward with intention. This ritual allowed us to gain clarity on how to live intentionally, how we can show up to our everyday lives in the big and small moments. So take this ritual with you and hold those intentions and those words, those mantras, those action steps close to your heart and recommit to them every day until the next ritual or until you gain clarity that it's time to make a shift. Of course, this is all just inspiration and a foundation. You can do this whole thing as it is laid out. You can add more, you can take away, you can do bits and pieces here and there. Whatever feels good for you, follow your intuition. I hope that you give yourself permission to do that. I know that I am, of course. But I hope that this ritual serves you and gives you exactly what you're needing in this moment. And I really hope that Imbolc welcomes you with open arms. I hope that you welcome it with open arms and that your winter was clarifying and nourishing and grounding. And I'm really so curious about what winter revealed for you. If anything was clarified, if anything did fall away, if anything was renewed, if anything was committed to. So please reach out and let me know how winter was for you and what you're feeling as we move closer and closer to spring and celebrate Imbolc. I can't wait to hear from you and connect with you all, and I will see you next time for more magic. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Intuitively Wild, the podcast. I hope it helped deepen your connection to yourself, sparked some insights, and inspired you to live intuitively wild. If you enjoyed this podcast, it would mean so much to me if you would share it with others and leave a rating and review. And please reach out to me. I would love to connect with you. I will see you next time for more magic.